on Sunday, the TikTok ban is supposed to go into effect. They're supposed to shut down operations by January 19th. That is the day before Trump's inauguration. That is also supposedly when the ceasefire plan is supposed to be implemented, although, again, Netanyahu is putting impossible hurdles into it at the 11th hour, like he's done many, many times before. We'll see how Trump takes that. But the law that was passed, just to give people a refresher, this TikTok ban, do you have that timeline that I sent you? Axios did this, is kind of helpful in terms of like how this TikTok ban started. Trump tried to force the sale of TikTok towards the end of his presidency in 2020. But obviously he had diminished political capital at that point. We were in the midst of a global pandemic and his approval rating was in the toilet. But this lingered, and it was included in the Ukraine-Israel aid that passed at the end of April 2024. And Biden signed it into law, or at the very least, that's when he signed it. And then there was a lawsuit. The FTC and the DOJ sued TikTok. They went to court. The Supreme Court had their hearing. And it appears as though the Supreme Court is going to side in favor of this ban, because it was pretty explicit in the legislation that Biden signed into law. And they have a decision to make on Sunday, or to extend that 100-day deadline. And I think that's a big part of why you're seeing, not the ultimate reason, but one of the many reasons that these tech oligarchs are kissing the ring for Donald Trump. I think a lot of them want a piece of this, or they want it to go into effect, particularly Zuckerberg. Instagram is the biggest competitor to TikTok, and it would be a huge boon to his business if
they don't want to be
they weren't around.
They don't want to be seen supporting it. And so like Elon Musk will say like, look, this is against free speech, even though it would help X. I don't want to see it happen. I don't think they're going to be spending a whole lot of lobbying effort toward making sure that it doesn't.
Right. And the point just here is like, now Trump and Biden are trying to stop TikTok from being banned because it's a hugely popular app for young people. You know who Trump made gains with in the last election? Young people. And I say all of this to say is that now Biden's scrambling to make sure the ban doesn't go through. Why did you sign that bill into law? I understand that it passed the House 352 to 65, the Senate 79 to 18. If those numbers held, it would have been a veto-proof majority. But it would, if the leader of the Democratic Party vetoed this legislation or didn't want this TikTok ban in place, that would change the calculation for so many of the other Democrats who voted yes on this. It just, no one's going to remember that Biden tried to save TikTok. They're going to remember that the ban happened under his watch. And then with this and Gaza, just handing the Republicans these easy victories. Here is Trump's pick for National Security Advisor Mike Waltz this morning on Fox and Friends, saying, don't you worry, folks, we're going to make sure that this doesn't take effect.
Could have an executive order to save the platform. I know a lot of people don't like it, national security concerns, but there are 170 million Americans who use it. So what's going to happen to it?
Well, President Trump, and this is in line with the legislation, we will put measures in place to keep TikTok from going dark. In the legislation allows for an extension as long as a viable deal is on the table. And then, essentially that buys President Trump time to keep TikTok going. It's been a great platform for him and his campaign to get his America First message out. But at the same time, he wants to protect their data. Conservatives don't want the FBI, and they certainly don't want the Chinese communists getting their passwords, getting their data, and being able to overly influence the American people.
I mean, what a shift in tone. What a shift in tone. And it's in part, Trump was going around in the campaign on all of Barron's favorite shows, Aiden Ross and these other streamers that are popular with young people. If Donald Trump stops a TikTok ban, what are the Democrats trying to do? Make his approval rating go above 60%? It's already crossed 50%, which is expected. ahead of an inauguration. But I'm just amazed at how much was left on the table at the really back half of this administration, almost to just give Republicans these easy ways to look like they were more democratically responsive to the public, when we know that Trump is as anti-democratic as it gets. He tried to overturn the results of an election last time 4 years ago. But when you're doing these broadly popular but easy things that aren't influenced by a national security think tank class that is so divorced from what regular people want, and in fact they're undemocratic by design. But this is that's his whole history, and that's his whole tenure in Washington, is being in the tank for Israel and for our wars and for our deep state and for the national security establishment, which is also what motivated this ban. So it's fitting that these two things, whether it be this Gaza deal that hopefully goes through for the sake of everybody and every Palestinian and Israeli as well, and this TikTok ban, you're just doing, they allowed Trump to do broadly popular things potentially that he can take credit for, and it was completely within their control. I
mean, they generally make him look, relative to them, more democratic and free speech, and it's not to credit Trump, it's to denigrate them. Like, they're not democratic and open. And I would just say, I'm looking through some of the Democrats who voted for this. Jerry Connolly didn't vote. Interesting. Jasmine Crockett, I'm just through the C's. Jasmine Crockett, why is Jasmine Crockett voting president on that? You're supposed to be one of the young Democrats that is helping us win back this. What's going on in this party? Right.
Completely rudderless, no leadership. And, Biden made sure of that. And it's really unfortunate to see some of these easy things that the Democrats could have avoided. They could have just steered away from that iceberg, but they didn't.
Oh, Gottheimer voted to ban it. Interesting.
Yeah, that's not shocking, I guess, to me at all.
Hey, folks, once again, Trump's personnel picks are all about loyalty over expertise. He named election denier Carrie Lake to lead the Voice of America. That's the U.S.-funded broadcaster meant to provide unbiased news to global audiences. Well, Ground News found hundreds of articles covering this, all concerned about VOA's editorial independence. But you'll still find the America First crowd arguing that this appointment will, quote, restore balance and fairness. Yeah. In reality, we're losing independent journalism and government transparency, setting the stage for propaganda masquerading as credible information. That's why I've trusted my partners at Ground News for years to help me critically analyze the news I consume. They're the only app that's not telling you what to think. Instead, they gather all the headlines, organize them by story, and then add data to each outlet's bias, their credibility, and their financial incentives, so you know exactly who's benefiting from the spin. Take it one step further and filter out questionable sources to stay on top of what's happening without getting buried in the noise. Trump is shaping our future in ways that's going to last for decades, and if we're not paying attention, we're letting history repeat itself. So stay engaged with Ground News, who's fixing what's breaking right in front of us. Trust and transparency in the media. My viewers save 50% on the same unlimited access Vantage plans that I use every day to track these stories and prep for my show. So go to ground.news/majority or scan my QR code to subscribe. Once you start reading the news this way, it's going to be very hard to go back. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.